Hey YouTube friends, Editing Mel here, and oh my goodness, do we have some plant chores to do in today's video. I'm working through about 2.5 hours of footage so far. I hadn't realised just how many plant chores I had to do until I started recording. So I think I probably only got through about half of them. That just makes for another video for you guys, maybe next week or the week after. So I prioritised all the plants that were just screaming at me for help at the moment, and I thought I'd bring you guys along too. Do you guys have those sorts of months where it feels like your fridge breaks, you get a flat tyre, your car rego's due, it's just like one thing after the other? That's exactly how I feel with my plants at the moment. It feels like every time I look at another plant, there's something going on for one of them, and I just think it's probably been a little bit too much for all of my plants. So I think when I went on holidays, for anyone who's seen the videos, I moved most of them outside of the plant sitter, and then not long after that we had the cyclone. So same thing, I had to bring a lot of my outdoor plants in, and it meant shuffling around a lot of my plants inside. Also, we've got the weather transition. We're going from summer into autumn, and it's been like really wet, including the cyclone, really rainy and wet and humid. I've had plants that have just turned pear-shaped that have normally been going really well for me. This is just one example of when I turn around, what are my plants doing at the moment? So I'm setting up for the video to do some repotting. I've got some Hoya propagation sitting here in the windowsill, which is a great spot because it's here under the light. And literally, there's mealybugs. Can you see them? I have just treated them, so they shouldn't still be alive, but I wanted to show you guys. I haven't had mealybugs on this Hoya before that I've taken the cuttings from to propagate, so that's a first. It's just like I was saying, it just feels like I turn my head and I'm looking at another plant and it's got another problem. When you've got mealybugs, just a good wipe down treatment with isopropyl alcohol. If any of the leaves are really badly affected, I'll cut them off. But these were just a handful that I noticed. I think I got it really early because they sit on our kitchen windowsill. I see this plant all the time. So I just wiped the ones down that I noticed. I'll see how it goes, and I'll potentially give it another treatment in a few days if I still see them. This video has taken me about a week to film. I've sort of done it over a few days. And so then yesterday I think, oh, almost done. I've done my priorities. I got to do some watering, and I noticed one of my birthday plants. Where is it? This is one of my new birthday plants. Within a few days of getting it, I noticed that some of the leaves started having brown spots on them, and it's getting worse, not better. See that? And this one down here is just, oh look, it's just falling apart. There's another leaf here with a brown spot. I have cut off some of the worst ones. This beautiful pink leaf is starting to get brown on the edges. So I normally try and keep my new plants in their pots for about 6 months to let them acclimatise, but something's going on for this plant. I have been fungiciding it, and that's not enough. It hasn't stopped it. So I'm just going to check it for root rot, actually. I'm going to do something that I don't normally do with new plants. I'm going to pull it out of its pot and I'll transition it. So whenever I have a plant that's having a bit of trouble, and this one's looking sicker and sicker by the day. Plants have a moment whenever they're acclimatizing, but this feels like a lot more than a moment. There's definitely something going on. I've got it in a pretty nice, bright, filtered light position that my plants normally love. The only thing I don't know is the soil that's in here, because this came from a nursery. So I'm going to wash all the soil off, just check its roots to see if there's anything going on. And we're going to hedge our bets here. Again, this is what I like to do when a plant is sick. So I'll put one lot of the plant back into, I'll probably do my my semi-hydro chunky mix in here, and we'll do a hydro one as well, and I might even plant part of it back into here. I'll see how much plant I've got to work with. So I'll just go and rinse this off and we'll see what we're dealing with. I was really surprised, actually. The roots are pretty good. They're light colour. I got as much of the soil off as I can without really ripping at the roots, but the roots look healthy, and that's a good sign. I'm going to separate this guy. Oh, that's nerve-wracking. So this big piece naturally wanted to stay together, so we'll keep this bit together. That might be, so I always look at the root. Well, look, that's a snug fit in there, but I'm going to do it. This is the one that I'm going to put in my chunky mix. I don't think I'm going to go semi-hydro with this at the moment. We'll just cut off the leaves, so clean press scissors. I'll put my chunky mix in with it, put a little cover pot on it, put it in a bright filtered light location, and fingers crossed. And then this other one, the other bits, I'm going to put in some water and do some propagating on that, and just see if I can get it to come good in the water. And maybe this one, a semi-hydro setup with this one as well. I love this plant. If you guys had a chance to watch my birthday video where I went shopping with my mum and my sister, it was the only one that they had in the shop, and I got the plant because I just loved this leaf. Look at the colour. Oh my goodness. So whenever I've got a plant that's not doing really well, I normally take some propagations. So I've kept this part of the plant really wanted to stay together. It's clumped together. So I've left this together and I've kept this in my coconut core perlite mix, my chunky mix. There we go. And that is my old faithful. I can usually rescue plants in that. So I've put the bulk of the plant in that. Of course, I've sprayed it all down with fungicide and I'll do the treatment again in another 7 days. Cut off all the worst affected leaves. The rest of it. And then, so I ended up having 3 pieces. So the other one is, as you guys know, I grow a lot of my plants in hydro and I also have really good success. Philodendrons seem to grow really well for me in water. So I've also done one in just water. You can see the roots in there. Just made sure I cleaned all the soil off as best I could. Cut off the worst affected leaves. Those variations. So I've kept all the healthy leaves. Thank goodness, you can probably see from the video, it's not over the whole plant. It just started on a few leaves, I noticed. I've probably been going on for about a week and it wasn't getting any better. And I thought, I can't just bury my head in the sand. I really need to do something with this plant. So fingers crossed, we've got one in my chunky mix. We've got one in my hydro. And then I've got one in my semi-hydro mix, which is the Mabgrow down the bottom. The semi-hydro mix down the bottom and my chunky mix up the top, which so many of my philodendrons just absolutely love this set up. So same thing, I cut off the worst affected leaves. I've kept all the healthy leaves, given it a really good spray with fungicide spray. So fingers crossed. My main problem now is this is, so I had 1 plant and now I've got 3 plants. I know that they're smaller, but I'm actually struggling. So whenever a plant is unwell, firstly, you need to keep it away from other plants for a few weeks. So I need to find a good quarantine spot, but also a spot that will give it that nice bright filtered light, because I try and really give plants that are unwell the optimum growing conditions just to give them the best chance. So at the moment, 2 of these guys are homeless, but it's okay. By the next video, hopefully I will have found a home for them. So as I said, cut off the worst affected leaves, split the plant up just in case one part of the plant isn't going to make it. Treated it with fungicide spray. I'll do it again in another 7 days, and I've tried them in a few different growing mediums and quarantined them from the rest of my plants. And then what next did I need to do this week? Oh, and then I noticed, so same, just going around and doing some watering. I don't know if you guys remember that epipremnum. So I got this around Christmas time. It was one of the last plants I got. I'm trying not to buy any plants this year, except birthday plants aren't counted. So this was one of the last plants I bought in 2024. It's an epipremnum. Pretty as well. Ugh. The colours on the leaves, but you might be able to notice, see the brown spots? This guy came with root rot, and I think I showed you quite a few videos ago. Exactly the same as what I did with the philodendron. I cut it up into about 3 different cuttings. This guy's in my semi-hydro, and actually, can you see the little roots coming out? So there it is, look, see that little root? So this is since I only did this for it when we were going away on holidays in February, the start of February, and it's already growing roots. So it's growing roots. It's got a new little shoot coming up. It's going really well, and I was actually admiring it, going, wow, I think it's finally, got through its issues. And then I noticed it's got brown spots on the leaf as well. So same thing, fungicide sprayed it. Goodness, I feel like I'm fungicide spraying every second day at the moment. So I fungicide sprayed it, cut off the worst affected leaf. One of the leaves was quite floppy. And then I went and checked the other ones as well. So I've got another one in water and then another one in the chunky mix. Also all had brown spots. So I don't know if they've had it from the start and it just wasn't bad and I hadn't noticed, or whether they've just developed it, as I said, just like my other plants, taking their turns having moments at the moment. So this is another plant that's in quarantine. I think it's going to be okay. As I said, I've treated it. I'll treat it again in another 7 days. I'll just keep an eye on it, keep it separate from my other plants, and fingers crossed. It was just really interesting because the 3 of them are in 3 different parts of my house and they've all got it, which makes me wonder, did it maybe have it at the start and I just hadn't noticed it? Maybe it wasn't as bad or as obvious as what it is now. There's no B-roll for this one because I literally just clipped off 1 or 2 of the leaves and sprayed it with the fungicide spray. I just wanted to apologize to you guys. So I don't know that for anyone who watches my videos, I guess a bit more regularly, you would notice that this video is quite late, and I just wanted to apologize for that. I I don't know, I was debating whether to even say something, and I feel really guilty even saying it, but holidays just send me into a spin. So I worked out, we have been home for about 5 weeks now, and I still feel completely dysregulated and out of routine. I still haven't put on all the weight that I need to put back on from going on holidays with not being able to eat food. And I know it's a neurodivergent thing, and I'd actually be really interested if anyone else watching this feels the same after holidays. There's so much, like, I'm just behind in everything. The house is chaotic. I only just finished unpacking our suitcase yesterday because remember, I had unpacked and then I had to repack it. We had to pack a go bag for the cyclone. Thank goodness my friends are so understanding. I call it going dark. I just can't bring myself to respond to messages and do as many social events as I normally do at the moment. And I feel so bad saying this, guys, because how lucky am I to get to go on holidays? My husband and my kids just love it. There's so many good memories, but it really does throw me completely out of whack. And the longer we go away on holidays, I think the longer it takes me to get into it. So that's a really long segue into me saying I am so sorry. I'm so far behind with my videos at the moment. And as you heard me say in the introduction, this video has taken me days to record. So hopefully over the next few weeks, I get a little bit more reliable again as I get a little bit more regulated and my body gets back on track. So I had this massive snake plant growing in our lounge room, and it was, oh my goodness, it was so root bound. I don't know how it was surviving, and I just thought I can't keep looking at that every night knowing that it's so root bound. And I managed to get about 5 different plants out of it. So this is my OG snake plant. This is the plant that changed it all for me. When I saved it out of the garden, it was like 3 little leaves, and I just knew that I didn't want to lose it because I just love the colors of it. And look at it now. If I put it down, it's almost as tall as I am. It's absolutely spectacular. Believe it or not, this propagation is actually bigger than what the original plant was here. With snake plants, initially you think, are they actually doing anything? And then they just go absolutely bananas. And then eventually you end up with absolute chaos right here. You know how you often think something's going to be hard and take a long time, and then when you get started, it's not that bad? Well, that actually wasn't the case with these snake plants. I'm really glad that I didn't have the camera rolling. The pot was exactly what I thought. It was so root bound. I'm just glad that these guys are really tough and forgiving. So this is one of the last plants I had in soil, apart from my plants that are new. As you can see, I get most of the soil off, but I certainly don't get every single bit off, because I find the benefit of cleaning them too thoroughly is you tend to damage the roots more. So I just get as much dirt off as I possibly can. And while I was doing that, it was hilarious. I had my mask on, I had my glasses on, my glasses are fogging up. I'm trying to wrestle and like pull the plants apart as best I can without damaging them. It was quite funny. But what I wanted to show you, my sons call them, they look like carrots, like they look like root veggies. And it's so true. That's what helps them not be so thirsty. So they actually are able to store a lot of water in their roots, and they actually don't appreciate being overwatered. The best way really to kill a snake plant is definitely through overwatering. And so just think, so next time you have a snake plant that's in soil or in a potting medium and you can't see the roots, really wanted to show you these. But while I was doing that, I also decided that I'd do my ZZs. So I wanted to show you my ZZs as well. These probably give you a good idea. So same thing, I just clean the soil off as best I can. So see, they're almost like potatoes. These are really good at storing water for the plant. So another plant that really does prefer not to be overwatered. I'll see if I can find a picture of where these originated from and pop it up there for you. I had a relative that had a pot that she didn't want, and for anyone who's watched some of my very early videos, I showed it to you. So she gave me this pot and I was just going to repaint it. The soil was so bad, there was actually cockroaches even. It was so gross. I put it around the side of the house and I thought I will deal with that when I have the energy. In the interim, it's obviously been rained on, it's been outside getting good sun, and all of these sprouts started coming up, and it turned out to be a beautiful ZZ plant. So I actually haven't kept the pot. I decided to gift the pot away, but I've kept all of the ZZs. So look at this. I hope I can find you the photo to show you the photo, because wow, it's so hard to believe that these beautiful plants came from cockroach infested soil. It was so waterlogged, and yet these all survived. So I'm probably going to split these up into about 2 bunches because they're just getting too big for the location that I had them in. So we'll repot these guys today as well. I thought it was really important to show you the root system. For me, my science brain never stops, I guess. And so when I can picture these roots and also the roots from the snake plant, it actually reminds me these guys don't need as much water as some of your other plants, and actually they appreciate drying out in between versus some of the other plants. Just realized I don't have a good height for you guys to be able to see me filling the pot, so I might put it down here and fill it. This is actually ergonomically, that's a big word, isn't it? Ergonomically better for me, but I'll show you what I'm filling it with. This is my DIY chunky mix. I've got like perlite in here, they're the little white bits. I always put a little bit of leca if I've got leftover leca, bits of coconut core bark, and then finer bits of coconut core fiber. And it's just my go-to mix. I just find most of my plants are really, really happy in it. If I'm propagating, I just put a little bit more perlite and a little bit less of the fine coconut core. I just find until the roots are developed. But in general, I use that mix pretty much all the time for most of my plants if I'm not growing them in semi-hydro or hydro. When I'm filling a pot up, so I never put the roots obviously right the way down the bottom of the pot, so I'll probably fill about that much of the pot before I actually start putting the snake plants in. So I might as well just use these ones here. Oh, these are all still connected. I think one of the hardest parts when you're working with tall plants is holding the plants up at the same time whilst trying to fill the pot and not having everything fall over. That's good. Definitely can fit. I've got lots more, I've still got lots of root space in there, so I'll put a few more pieces in, some more nice healthy looking pieces. I won't overfill the pot because you saw just how quickly and easily these guys grow and how quickly it'll take over the pot. I like the look of this one, see it's got a little baby shoot coming up. That's good. I think that's probably enough. That's still got lots of space down the bottom for the roots to grow, but it looks full enough for where I want to put it, so I'm really happy with that. Some of my friends ask me, how do you know the size pot to use? And I guess when I'm guessing a size pot, I look at the root ball. And so basically so not only am I an underwaterer, but also I'm a really big believer in pots that sort of hug your plants. Definitely I push it to an extreme. I push this plant way too hard, but I would much rather a plant be in a slightly smaller pot than put a plant in a pot that's too big for its root ball, and then you just risk root rot. So I look at the roots and the root ball for these guys. They're taking up about 2/3 of the diameter, so they've got about 1/3 to grow. With these guys, that's a good amount. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get a good 12 months out of this pot. Let's keep filling it. I'll put a photo up. I've taken a photo of the one in the lounge room. So that was the original pot that it came out of. Well, the 5 plants came out of. I'll put a photo of it up in there. I don't want to show you guys the bedroom one yet because I'm doing a bit of a planty corner in our bedroom that I want to do a whole other video about. And this one's pretty exciting because this is leftovers. I've got 2 big ones. I managed to have, anyone that watched my birthday video would have seen my sister would really like one, so I've managed to put one aside for her. A topic for a whole other video, we've started a local plant club, which I'm so excited about. We have our first meeting in May, so I've managed to put some propagations aside for the plant club. And then I've got this guy that's going to go in our living room. My 2 favourite ways to grow snake plants is in leca or hydro. They grow really well for me. And also when you're putting it in a container like this, so for something pretty about growing plants in leca. I don't do it with many of my plants, but snake plants are definitely one of them. The leca will give it something to, give the roots something to grab onto. And I treat it just like any of my other semi-hydro plants. So making sure the bottom 1/3, I do the leca, and then I planted the snake plant on top of that in the top 2/3. And then just initially until the plant grows its own water roots, I just water that bottom 1/3. So there's water. You guys see there's probably very hard to see on camera. I'll move it around and see if you can see it, but there's just water in the bottom 1/3, and it's great. You can actually see the roots. So those roots aren't down in the water because they are soil roots. The leca will naturally wick up the water up through the leca and into the plant, so the plant will be able to stay nice and moist, and plants actually develop water roots and the roots will actually grow down into that water. I'm not an expert at leca. As I said, it's predominantly snake plants that I enjoy growing in leca, but if you haven't seen them, I'll put up on the screen for you the definition of them. Let's see if you can see them. Oh, there you go. They're just little clay balls. So it's a good idea. They come a bit dusty, so it's a good idea before you use them. I always give them a good wash, just like when I use perlite or any of or coconut core, any of my potting mediums. There is something seriously going on with this plant, so I'm actually going to, I love this glass vessel. I think I'll transition just one of my syngoniums into it. But this guy's coming out. This is sick. Like, you can see it up. It's not good. I came home from holidays. It wasn't looking pretty. I've been changing the water, keeping it under the light, doing all the things that I normally do with it, and it's just got sicker and sicker. So I feel like if I don't do something with this plant, I'm going to lose it. This is a perfect example of root rot and an unhealthy plant. It's probably good you guys can't smell it. It is disgusting. Those roots are just falling apart. They stink. The leaves are brown. I'm going to take this out in the yard so I don't make a complete mess here. Cut off all the gross bits of root, save the bits that I can, and we'll repot it into my chunky mix and see if we can save this guy. And I'll give you guys an update in a coming video and see how it goes. Wow, I didn't have to cut this or anything. I literally just put this under the hose and look, all those roots literally just fell off. That's all that's left. That is probably the easiest root clearing I've ever had, but that tells you just how sick. Oh, I've got something on my foot. That just tells you how sick the poor plant was. So hopefully these few little roots, the stem doesn't look too bad. I'm going to cut that bottom bit off, but try and keep this bit here where the roots are. It's a little bit soggy down the bottom. I'm going to try and keep the roots. Yeah, see, that's a bit soggy there. Even though it's got a root, I'm just going to cut it a bit further up. Yeah, that's better. Did you hear that noise? That's a bit better. That's not as soggy there. I'll give it a good pest spray as well. I've got the container soaking in hydrogen peroxide as well, so I'll give it a good soak before I add, because it is my favorite vase and I will add another plant to it, but we're not really sure what's wrong with this, and I'd hate to think that I bring some sort of disease to another plant. So I'll give it a good soak overnight with hydrogen peroxide, and then give it a good wash out tomorrow. I've got one more plant that I wanted to show you. It wasn't an emergency. So I've been wanting to propagate some of my begonias, because if you remember when I went on holidays, I did some clippings and they died. One of my begonias, my escargot, is actually where it's growing. I really need to get that plant shelf up in the ensuite. It's too big for where it is, and the leaves were starting to hang over and get caught in the drawer in the ensuite. So I was like, they really need to be clipped. And so I thought, perfect opportunity, let's try propagating them again. So not an emergency, but I just couldn't stand those beautiful leaves getting jammed in the drawer. So I do want to propagate my other Begonia Rex as well, but we might do that in the next plant care video. Its leaves are not getting slammed in a drawer, and it's growing really well, and actually I'm pretty excited. It looks like it might be about to flower for the first time as well, so I can't wait to show you guys that in the next week or two. But I'll show you what I've done with the propagations. I'm absolutely not an expert. So true to form, I've been doing some Googling and some YouTubing and lots of research, and people seem to be propagating begonias in two different ways. So these are the leaves that have been getting jammed in the drawer. They just don't look so pretty, and so I've done one lot. I've just cut the ends off and I've put them in water. Can you guys see that? I don't normally use rooting hormone, but because I'm a little bit nervous, I did actually dip the ends in some rooting hormone just to see if that might help me. So I've got two stems here. There's two different stems in here. Water propagation. And then the other one, a lot of people seem to cut the leaves up and just stick the leaves into soil. You guys see that? So I've done 3 of those. And see the veins there? See the little veins? So begonias are leaf propagated. Their roots will start coming out of there. So I've cut the leaf so that those veiny bits of the leaf are exposed into the dirt. I've actually put a little bit, you can see, of some sphagnum moss in there as well. So it's a combination of my chunky mix and some spag moss, and I'll just keep that moist over the next few weeks. I did also dunk it in rooting hormone, and then this is the way. It's not very pretty, but because begonias love humidity, so I found this is a really good way when I propagate plants. It's one of my semi-hydro sources that I have, like, that I normally just sit the water in. So I've got one in here, but I flip them upside down, and I find that they're really, really good to keep the humidity in. I'll put this one outside in the undercover area, so it will get beautiful, bright, filtered light, and this will keep the humidity in. I will keep the growing medium moist, but not soggy, not let it dry out. And then this one, because I can't put the dome over the top of it, I've actually put it in the ensuite next to the parent plant that's growing really, really well, apart from the leaves getting slammed in the drawer all the time. So that this one will stay in the ensuite. Now, fingers crossed between the two of them, how good would it be if all of them shoot? But I'll be happy if just one of these leaves shoots. That will feel amazing. And then we'll give the Kotobuki Begonia a go as well. So fingers crossed. I can't wait to share with you guys if it works or not. That's it, guys, for an absolutely marathon week of planty chores. As I said, I had a good 2.5, maybe even 3 hours worth of planty videos to get through during my editing. It's going to be a bit of a task putting this together. It actually felt really great to get through those chores with you guys. All of my emergency stuff is done, thank goodness. So my next planty chores video is all just nice to do, I guess, not, oh my goodness, the plant is really sick and needs your help. That feels really, really nice. And as I said, I've got a few planty things coming up because the cyclone really motivated me, having to move my plants in and out. And then also for the holidays, I've been rearranging my plants. So I've had some Facebook finds and I'm really excited to show you guys what I'm doing with those. So by doing these planty chores, this was step 1 to get some of my plants ready. So watch this space for my next few videos. And I do have some updates on my plant club as well. I hope that you've learned something or got something out of this planty video. I hope it's given you some ideas. Everyone's home and everyone's plants are different, so just take what you need. And until my next video, take care, and remember, you guys have totally got this.